So for the first one up here, 4 feet squared converted into inches squared. What's our conversion? Yeah, 144. The foot is the larger unit, so that's 1. There's 144 square inches in a square foot. Remember, there's 12 inches in a foot, so to get when the units are squared, we have to square that conversion. So 4 times 144 is 576. Get this thing to work. Over here, 54 square feet. Going into square yards. Which one's larger? The yards are, so the 1 goes there. How many square feet are in a square yard? 9. 3 by 3, right? So that's 54 divided by 9 makes 6 square yards. (1,728 square inches). Going into square feet, again, feet are larger, so that's where the 1 goes. We've already established 144 square inches. Square inches divide out. Because the 144 is on bottom, it's 1728 divided by the 144 gives us 12 square feet. And over here, 302.5 square yards. To square rods. The rod is bigger, so we put a 1 with the square rods. How many square yards are there in a square rod? 5.5 yards in a rod. So we square it. 5.5 squared, or 5.5 times 5.5 is 30.25. That gives us 10 square rods. Any questions on those first 4? They're standard units. With metric, we just move decimal points. From centimeters to millimeters is 1 spot to the right on the chart. But since this is squared, we're going to move 2 spots. So this is 180 millimeters. And 2 spots. Over here, centimeters to meters is 2 spots to the left on the chart because it's squared, we move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7.1. Look familiar? So, now that those look familiar, what if we have three cubic feet going into cubic inches? So cubic feet will go on bottom, so I can get rid of them. Feet are the bigger unit, so 1 goes with the cubic feet. How many cubic inches are there in a cubic foot? 12 to the third power. 12 by 12 by 12, or 1728. So that cancels out. 3 times 1728 is 5184, correct? How about 54 cubic feet going into cubic yards? How do we do that one? Which one's the bigger unit? Yards, so 1 goes to yards. 3 feet in a yard, so when it's cubed, it's 3 by 3 by 3, or 27. It's 2 cubic yards. You should have either a caret key like this, or the XY key. Okay. These all looking familiar? It's been a couple weeks.
It's been on 2 years.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be even worse since you guys don't have class Tuesday, Wednesday next week. So it's going to be almost a week before you guys have class again.
Oh, what is that for? Well, it really does suck.
It's in service. We're in meetings those 2 days.
It's right in the middle of the week.
5.1 centimeters cubed to millimeters cubed. Centimeters to millimeters is how many spots on the chart? One spot to the right. So we have to move how far? 3, because it's cubes, so it's triple that. So it's 5,100. $280,000 millimeters cubed to meters cubed. You get from millimeters to meters, it is 3 spots to the left. Yes, we have to triple it. So it is 9 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Adding 0, 7, 8, 9. So this is 0.00028. So you can see these numbers can get really small really fast, really quick. Or really big really fast. Yeah. I said really small or really fast. Really small or really big really quickly. It's a Friday. Let's throw some circles into this mess. Just because I can. This kind of solidifies why I do things the way I do when we start looking at cylinders. So let's say this is an 8-inch base, 10-inch height. I want to find volume and surface area. Well, by doing things the way that I've done, there's nothing new that we have to do for a cylinder. To find volume, my first step is the area of the base. Well, the base of this is a circle. What do we need to know to find the area of a circle? All we need is the radius. What's the radius of this? 4 inches. So it's pi times 4 squared, otherwise known as 50.24 inches squared. That's if you're using 3.14 for pi. If you use the pi key, it'd be 50.26 approximately. Now I find my volume by doing what? Perfect. The area of my base, which is 50.24 square inches, times my height, which is 10 inches. So 502.4 cubic inches. There's my volume. So done with volume. On to surface area. So for my surface area, I have the area of my bases plus the area of my other base plus my lateral area. So for here, I've got 50.24 plus another 50.24 plus whatever I'm going to get for my lateral area, which means we got to look at lateral area. What's the first thing I need to know in order to find my lateral area? That's the perimeter of my base, which since the base is a circle, it's going to be a circumference. It's the distance around that circle. Circumference is pi times diameter. So it'll be pi times 8, which is 25.12 inches. So that means my lateral area up here the lateral area is going to be that 25.12, the perimeter of my base, times my height, which is still 10 inches. So 251.2 inches squared. So when I add all of those up, I get 351.68 inches squared. What do you think? Since it's so cool. Says a right triangle with a half circle on its hypotenuse there. So it's 6 by 8 on the right triangle. Here, I'll draw this in colors. So this is 6 inches. This is 8 inches. The height, we'll call 12 inches. Find in your notes volume and surface area for me. Give you a little push in the right direction. First, step 1 is to find the area of the base, right? So the area of the base is 2 pieces. It's a triangle, and it's a half circle. So do the triangle first, okay? How do you find the area of the triangle? 6 times 8 divided by 2, which is 24 square inches, right? How do we find the half circle? We've got to know what this distance is. How do we find that distance? That's C, it's C squared. Of course, square root of 100, C is going to be 10. So the area of that second piece is pi times 5 squared divided by 2. Otherwise known as 39.25 square inches, correct? Sure. So the area of my base is 63.25 square inches. Does that work for you? Sure. I'm sensing a huge ambition surge in the classroom. So the volume is the area of that base times what? 12. So 759 cubic inches is my volume. So that's volume. Next, we're going to look at surface area. Surface area is area of my base, so 63.25, plus the area of the other base, 63.25, plus whatever I'm going to get for lateral area. How do I get my lateral area? What's the first thing I need to get lateral area? Perimeter of my base. Perimeter of my base is going to be 6 inches plus 8 inches, bless you, plus the half circle circumference. That half circle circumference is 10 times pi, or pi times 10 divided by 2 because it's only a half circle, which is 15.7 inches. Which makes this perimeter 29.7 inches around. Which means I can find my lateral area is 29.7 inches plus, or times, sorry, the 12-inch height. $356.4 inches squared. That goes up here. So then, add those together, which is going to give us 483. Yes, no. 0.9. Correct. That is my total surface area. So you can see that looked like a really weird, ugly shape. But the way we've defined surface area, it's no different than anything else we've done.
How do you really know it's a half circle?
I told you it was. Also, because you had this dotted line of diameter, you had that little X in there, that always denotes the center of a circle. So whenever you see that, come on, draw it. Whenever you see that X type thing, that's the center of a circle. So you can see, since that center of the circle is on the line, that has to be a half circle.
Will that show up on a cruiser test when you put an X in the center?
You can just assume it's a half circle or a quarter circle if it looks like one. If it's something other than a half or a quarter circle, it'll be labeled with an angle. How mean do I want to be? See if we can find volume and surface area of that. Pretend these two ends are the same. This is still 40 degrees. See what you can find. For volume, do you start in the right direction? How do I find the area of the base?
Radius 8 squared times pi divided by 4.
Okay. Close. Pi times 8 squared is going to give me an area for the whole circle that would be how much? 200.96 inches squared. I use that then to find the area of the sector. Yes. Which is going to give me, what, 2.33. Does that look right? Yep, 2233. That's the area of my base right there. So to find my volume, 22.33 inches squared times 20 inches is 446.6 inches cubed. Anybody get that? Everybody understand? Anybody not know how I got that? Okay. So then, surface area. What do I have to add together? $22.33 plus 22.33 plus my lateral area. How do I find my lateral area? Well, I first need to know the perimeter of my base, which will be 8 plus 8 plus the circumference of the circle is pi times 16, or 50.24 square inches, or 24 inches. So that means the arc length is 50.24 times 40 over 360, which is going to give us 5.58. Does that sound right? Inches? What you got? So 21.58 inches is our perimeter, which we will use now for our lateral area. Our lateral area is going to be that perimeter, 21.58 inches times 20 inches, which is going to give us 431.6 inches squared, correct? Which adds up to 476.26 inches squared is my total surface area. What do you think? In the big book. On page 251, I want you to work on exercise 8-7. On page 252, I want you to work on exercise 8-8. And on page 609 through 610, I want you to work on exercise 28-4. In the little book, I want you to work on unit 31. And we'll leave it at that. To get through the little book, you're going to have to talk a little bit about something called density. Density is defined to be mass divided by volume. So now that we know how to calculate volume, we can use it if we know the mass to find density. So if I tell you that something has a mass of, let's say 280 kilograms and a volume of 700 cubic centimeters, the density is 280 kilograms over 700 cubic centimeters. We divide that out, that's going to be 0.4 kilograms per cubic centimeter. I divided 280 by 700.
Define density as mass divided by volume.
Yes. More often than not, though, we're going the other direction. Let's say I tell you the density of an object is 84 grams per cubic centimeter. And I ask you how many kilograms is an object that is 210 cubic centimeters. Well, density is mass divided by volume. Mass, if I multiply by V, is density times volume. So I know my density, 84 grams per cubic centimeter, times my volume of 210 cubic centimeters. If I put that over 1, we'll notice here, cubic centimeters cancel out. I have 84 times 210. It's 17,640. What units is going to be on this? grams. I asked for it in kilograms.
Is your weight over volume.
Density is mass over volume. Mass is kind of like a weight. Mass is just how much stuff is packed into an object.
But I mean, every time you label density, it's mass
Divided by volume.
over volume.
Yep. It's a unit of mass divided by a unit of volume over a unit of volume. So this was asked for in kilograms. I moved my decimal point to get from grams to kilograms. I moved my decimal point that 3 spots to get me 17.64 kilograms. I'm going to leave it up to practice for you guys in the homework, and we'll talk about these more next Thursday when we meet again. Because I realize you guys got Tuesday and Wednesday off from school, so you're going to be sitting at home all day doing math. I'm going to have you guys muddle through it, see what you guys can figure out. I wanted you to see if you can go through them.